Well played, guys.
Now, it is Australia Day long weekend, and for most of us, that will mean time at the beach or pool. But if someone gets into trouble in the water, will you recognise the signs?
What do you think of when you picture someone drowning? This is what most of us imagine, the thrashing and yelling for help that we see in every TV drowning scene. But the cruel reality is much more subtle and too often deadly.
Nature instinctively forces the drowning person to extend their arms out to the sides and press down on the surface of the water so that they're attempting to raise their mouth above the water so that they can continue breathing, but then their mouth sinks below the surface of the water.
In fact, that screaming and waving that we're taught to do if we get into strife at the beach is only an option for people who can actually swim. If they're not reached in time, they'll start to drown silently. For those who can't swim at all, drowning is almost immediate.
Visually, it's more interesting to see someone lifting up their arm and, waving for help than the actual struggle of the drowning person, which looks as though they are playing in the water.
Francesco Pia is on a lifelong crusade to educate people on the danger signs everyone should look out for in the water.
It is the rule rather than the exception that you'll have a drowning person surrounded by bathers who are unaware that a drowning is taking place.
291 people drowned in Australia in the 12 months to June last year, including 31 young children, an almost 50% increase on the previous year. Children struggle for just 20 seconds before they go under.
That has enormous implications for parental supervision. That means parents can't read books when their children are in the water. They can't engage in social conversations. They can't text.
So in such a water-obsessed society, why is it that most of us still don't know what a drowning looks like?
Well, Michael Morris's son Samuel suffered major brain injuries when he nearly drowned. We spoke to Michael about this story last year and he joins us again now as he heads up the Samuel Morris Foundation. Michael, I guess you know better than anyone just how quickly and often how quietly this can happen.
It certainly is a silent experience, and most people do have a misperception that they'll hear a child struggling in the water, and as you've been highlighting, that's not the case, and it's certainly not what most people think it looks like.
The thing that shocked me so much, Michael, is not only does it happen quickly, but we just heard before in the story that it just looks like people are playing in the water. It can be very hard to tell the difference. How then, as a parent, are you meant to spot it?
Well, I think the key is for all parents is to always have an eye on their children whenever they're on, in or around the water. The child will be very vertical in the water. They won't be able to call out. They will be struggling to keep their head above the water. They may look like they're climbing a ladder, or for very young children may look like they're actually trying to dog paddle. So it's important to be vigilant, have the eyes on them so that you can spot that they're actually in distress.
Michael, this is a bit close to home for me because my own little 4-year-old got plucked out of the water at a kid's party just about a week or so ago by another dad, and I was in the pool with him and I didn't notice a thing. So I guess the message is that you might even think you're doing the right thing, but you can never take your eyes off your child. That's really it, isn't it?
Well, no, whenever there's a crowded situation, there's often a misperception that someone else has their eyes on a child, and unfortunately even in public pools over this summer we've had a couple of drowning incidents where lots of people have been around, including lifeguards. So it's important, particularly in a backyard pool environment, that you nominate one adult to be the supervisor for all of the children, to keep an eye on all the children and rotate that around so that the person remains fresh and focused on the task at hand.
And not even checking your phone for 5 seconds or reading a book. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? You can't be distracted at all.
That's right. As Dr. Pia says, a child that's struggling, the struggle may last as few as 20 seconds, and that's less than the time it takes you to read a page in a book or to check a text message.
And Michael, just before we let you go, on a personal note, how's your son doing?
Unfortunately, Samuel's continuing to decline and is in full palliative care, and we're really just keeping him comfortable for as long as his journey remains. It's heart-wrenching, but it's his story that's driving me to continue to get this message out there and make sure people are doing the right thing and understand what drowning looks like and what they can do about it.
Well, thanks for sharing your story, Michael. It's certainly making us all stand up and listen tonight, so thank you.
Thank you.